Hello, we are alone now in the Labyrinth. Evil laugh needs work. I thought it was time I recorded something. It's been a while. And I don't really have much time to do much of anything at the moment, including recording this. And this is why I'm here, really. If I just listened to Froth's latest Thought Eater podcast, and if you've listened to it, you'll know that he mentioned something there that just kind of makes you realise that there are many bigger things going on in everyone's lives outside of this world, and outside the Anchor/OSR/RPG world, and sometimes things can get very, very difficult indeed. I haven't had to deal with anything on that level, and I know you didn't want any outpourings of sympathy, but yeah, my heart does go out to you. But yeah, I haven't had to deal with anything on that level, but there's things have been complicated and busy and difficult. But I thought it'd be nice to occasionally check in and just record a few thoughts, because while I'm not having much chance to write or to play or to blog or any of that, my brain is still ticking away. The clockwork mouse is trundling along and thinking of stuff. So I thought I'd share a few things I've been thinking about. So I guess the main thing I should say right now is my ongoing Pariah campaign set in this kind of procedurally generated sandbox is in an indefinite hiatus, owing to my inability to commit to any regular sessions at the moment, which is a great shame, because it's been a really, really fun campaign. I think we've played something in the order of 30 odd sessions. I've got it on the blog. I can't remember off the top of my head. And there's been quite a revolving cast of characters and players, with some notable regulars and some also notable irregulars. It's been a really great campaign just to explore the game and other people's interpretations of Pariah, and but also just for the social aspects. It's been really nice hanging out with some interesting and funny and fun people, but unfortunately I can't really continue with that. Amazingly though, Lewis, who, if you're on Discords, you might know him as Gen2K, or indeed if you watch any of Garblag Games' live streams, you may have seen him playing a few of their Mutant Year Zero, Alien, Star Trek, a few of their games. He has been developing his own Pariah sandbox, and which I had the good fortune to play in a while back, and he's still managing to run that on the server, so that's really cool. Kind of wish I could play in it myself, but but it's just really nice to have made something and then for other people to pick it up and to do their own thing with. It kind of blows me away a little bit. So that's my current gaming status. And speaking of games, I was able to play in two other games. One of them was an OSE game run by the same Lewis I just mentioned. Unfortunately, we only got to do one session, which is a great shame because I have a long-standing ambition of playing as a magic user / wizard character in a fairly traditional or old school game, and it still remains only partially fulfilled. But we will hopefully have a chance to find out what comes of Medamina Madani, and her name is an anagram, and no one's worked it out yet, and I'm disappointed that they haven't. No one, like the four other people I play with. But in addition to that, I have been playing in Barney's Barney of Loco Ludus, and I'm always tempted to say Ludo Locus. Haha. But yeah, Barney has, you probably, if you're listening to this, you probably listen to his podcast, has been developing with Spencer and some others. I don't know who else is involved, but they've been developing a game, a Mesolithic game set in the alluvial plains of Doggerland, the missing strip that once joined the Isles of Britain to the continental mainland of Europe. I'd never really thought about the political subtext to that until this very moment. I think we're all bored of talking about Brexit or hearing other people talk about it, so maybe I'll spare you that. The game has been immense fun. It's been obviously me, Spencer, Safer of Safer Fantasy Crafting, Andy Goodman of Expedition to Grizzly Peaks. For a time, Colin Spike Pit, Colin Green. I think that's all of us. And Barney's talked about this in his podcast a few times. I've got a few thoughts. I don't know if I really have time now, so I'm just going to say it was really, really fun, and I'm kind of gutted not to be continuing the final episode of that exciting mini campaign, because I think it did turn into a mini campaign. I don't think, and this is based on what he said and what he's broadcast, I don't think Barney had a real plot or adventure hook or anything in mind. It just kind of evolved as we joined a family of Mesolithic traders, craftsmen, as they ventured to Bralem for a kind of big ceremonial meet / trading session, and things just kind of got out of hand, and multiple murders, and it sort of turned into a family crime drama. And then Safer was talking about how I Claudius had apparently the cast didn't really get to grips with what the material until they decided that they were essentially playing out a mafia drama, but in the classical period. And there's an element of that, except more like a kind of East End gangster family. But I guess that, not like a gangster family. I think it's more like there's a spectrum, isn't there? There's like the family that people, they're solid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't mess with them. They wouldn't do something morally wrong, but what they consider morally right might also run counter to the law very occasionally. Sort of people you'd go to if you had a problem. I guess I'm starting to sound like this is Ray Liotta at the beginning of Goodfellas. Yeah, how the mob were were like the cops, but for wise guys. or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, that, but in Mesolithic Britain, yeah, very enjoyable, especially the final moments pursuing a shaman, or were they really a shaman? We know they were an imposter, and they definitely used a few tricks to get the better of my character, Shallow, who ended up dying. Oh, spoilers. Yeah, I mean, I had a few more things to say, I think, but I don't really have time, and this is just very improvised because I'm just getting some thoughts out of my head. Other things I've been thinking about, so Pariah Volume 2, which I've got like a 20,000 word document just sat there that needs trimming down. It's an adventure site, which is going back to the original concept I had of Paleolithic tribes entering an abandoned Neolithic city and kind of dealing with what they find there. Sort of the vibe of Roadside Picnic, but in 10,000 BC. But not BC, because it's in a non-Earth world and a real fantasy world. So that sat there and taunting me, and I had planned to do that for Zine Quest 3 this year, but things got complicated and it's still there, so that will see the light of day at some point. I have put some stuff up on the blog before about that, mainly about the others, like a weird spirit / monstrous / extraterrestrial precursor race type thing. There's a lot of stuff though, and I don't know if I've got too many tables and not enough prose. Anyway, it will see the light of day one at some point, hopefully this year. So there's that, and also like some wilderness sandbox generation tools. I've just got piles and piles of this stuff, and I tried to put some of it into a PDF which I put up on Itch, but I'm really not happy with the way that turned out. Basically, I wanted to make some stuff where people who did me the great service of investing in the zine that I made then had material to run their own adventures, because I don't think you can really do that out of that zine. You can just kind of make some characters and there's some ideas there and you get an impression of the world, but I don't think you can just I want to just give people some more tools to run their own campaigns, but that's in the pipeline. If you do read my blog, you'll also know that I've been trying out a few different methods for procedural generation for those parallel spirit realms which characters can visit through the consumption of entheogens, or entheogens, as it was pronounced to me the other day. Incidentally, it is an anagram of Stonehenge, and I'm amazed and astounded every time I remember that, but I'm more amazed and astounded by how few people are amazed and astounded by this fact. Stonehenge, you rearrange the letters, it spells entheogens. No? Yeah, maybe I spent too much time on holiday in the West Country in the 90s, going into wooden cat shops and talking to people who smelt of patchouli oil. It's infected me, obviously. Procedural generation for parallel adventure sites. And one of them, which I think was particularly strong, was the one for the Realm of the Dead. I think that would probably make a pretty strong publication out of that. I had an idea for kind of using an exquisite corpse type book, the thing the children have with like a head, body and legs, and you flip pages and it different combinations. I think Goblin's Henchman's talked about this before on Twitter. I'd mentioned it to Cave Girl, Emmy Allen last year, when they were talking about Swordfish Islands were going to do a remaster of Stygian Library. I thought it would have been a really good opportunity to do something like that. In the end, the Soul Muppet remaster I think is really lovely. I especially love the illustrations by Alec Oddsblood. So that's something. What am I saying? Land of the Dead, procedural generation thing. Yeah, it's on its way. And of course, being unable to play or run anything, I spend a lot of time thinking about what I would do if I had that opportunity. And this probably has a level of intensity to it which is not really necessary for the content I'm delivering, but I'm kind of whispering into the microphone in a corner of my room, vaguely conscious of the fact that I've got quite a lot of saliva in my mouth and it's probably making horrible noises. Anyway, I recently acquired Worlds Without Number in hardback, the Kevin Crawford fantasy RPG / world building tool, mainly for the world building stuff. Although I'm always intrigued to see what people do with the basic chassis, how they reskin, the bare bones of the game we all know and adore. But what I really wanted, because I've not really been able to sit down and read it, was to listen to other people experimenting with those world building and faction building features. And my friends over at Garblag Games, in this case Pete and Ben, have run through a few sessions. I'll try and link those in the show notes. But I got through that fairly quickly and I wanted more because I'm trying to find stuff to listen to when I'm working, and ended up, through, thanks to the almighty algorithm, listening into one of Ben, Ben, Questing Beast Ben, Ludefex, can't remember his surname, but came through to his one of his reviews of Godbound, which was an earlier Kevin Crawford RPG. I think he did it after Stars Without Number. And it just got me thinking about those epic level adventures / immortal level adventures that I never really was able to run when I was first exploring the original Beckme and Challenger editions of 80s, 90s D&D. And I suddenly thought, well, I probably would quite like to run one of those campaigns. It's really quite different from the normal old school affair because, you're playing 9 vulnerable characters with godlike powers. But yeah, anyway, so that's in my head. So I was just thinking something like a real straight up rules cyclopedia game, but where the characters start at really high level, given the chance to embark on a quest for immortality. If any of them make it, that would kick off a Immortals campaign using the Wrath of the Immortals box set, but using some of the faction turn stuff from Godbound. So yeah, that's in my head. And then, yeah, going back to Worlds Without Number, what I really want to do when I have time is sit down with somebody, the same way Ben and Pete did on Garblag, and just do a run through of some of the world building features, kind of record it, whether, you know, just audio or fully audio visual, I don't know. But, we have technology now. I just think it'd be fun. I spoke to the aforementioned Lewis, Gen2K, and he seems quite up for that. But, it's going to be one of those things where we just make the time. And likewise, I'm really hoping to find the time to, at some point in the near future, get back in touch with some of my friends back in Vietnam and record a session with them. Mainly because a lot of the Pariah material I play tested with them and even had some design input in terms of my friend Felicia made the one of the character sheets, and I just want to give them the chance to try out the new material I made for this City of Ghosts Pariah Volume 2 thing. Sorry, God, what's happening to my voice? But again, time. Yeah, so that's about it. I just wanted to get something down and out there and communicate with you. If any of you are still there, time is limited, but hopefully I can snatch a few minutes here and there and record some snippets. And I know I'll be dialing into a few of the Anchor podcasts out there. I guess one question would be if I could put this out there, because now that I'm in this position of not really being able to play, what are those kind of campaigns that you think about running in your head but you've never got around to doing? So whether that's a specific system or world or adventure or just an original idea that you've just never quite managed to, the stars haven't aligned where you can get a group together and run it. Or perhaps you just something you'd love to play in, but you're a forever GM and don't get the chance to do that. Have I just done why don't you give me a call or like and subscribe and leave a comment below? I have done that. Catch you later. Oh, one last thing. So I've mentioned Garblag Games a couple of times. One of the people I met on the Discord there, who was a regular player in a lot of their stream shows, Pat, aka the Spider Queen, he's running a Kickstarter for original game content that she's created called Changed Stars. It's a kind of luxury space communism sci-fi, semi-hard sci-fi with cool insectoids and space otters. So it's pretty wicked. I'll put a link below. Change Stars. All right, bye.